Hi, this is MC of Healthy by George. I come to you every Friday and Sunday. And think about subscribing. I would love to see you here. Join me every week where we can discuss and share ways that we can daily take action to keep ourselves as healthy as we can into our older years. So today I'm going to talk about my continued health recovery from my past surgeries and my weight loss journey. The challenge is to find a way to not think about how I'm fixing myself, but how to support myself. That is really the challenge because in our minds, or in my mind, to be honest, in my mind, I'm constantly thinking of who I was. And I got this because I was a fat person or chubby or overweight or big boned or however you want to think about it, and struggled for this for 40 years, frankly. It was difficult, and it still is, to embrace this kind of smaller person that I am becoming. A smaller, more conscious of my body and my more awareness of how I appear to myself than ever before. And so I'm really looking at not how to fix myself, but how to support myself. And so, what does that mean when we think about supporting ourselves? For me, it's prioritizing how I think about my body, how I think about my weight, how I think about my size, how I really react to the changes I'm feeling. I think in the past, I felt fearful, very fearful, like I can't maintain it. I think that was the biggest thing is that here I was very clearly making choices every day about my diet, about my movement, and then boom, I'm having surgery and all these complications and ending back and having a second surgery. I'm being in the hospital an extended period and not feeling like I could walk or stand. Frankly, it was quite challenging. And now I'm turning a corner. I feel so much more positive. Today, the physical therapist said, wow, look at how upright you're standing and walking. And frankly, I don't think I've been able to do that for the past year and a half to 2 years. When you struggle with arthritis in your hips, it's quite painful. And I really took an approach of avoidance. Nobody wants to do surgery. And I was avoiding it because my first surgery with my right hip was horrid. And I just didn't want to face the possibility of having another hard surgery. And so I delayed it. I delayed it way too long. It really caused myself to become very muscularly adapting, poor posture, poor strength, all of these things because I was adjusting to avoid the pain in my left hip. So now I'm really working hard to go back to a healthier walking process, a healthier standing process. Even though I do have some arthritis in my hip, my knees, and arthritis in my ankles, I think that not having the pain in your hip is huge. And being able to stand for longer than 10 minutes or being able to walk for longer than 10 or 15 minutes. For the first time, I'm walking over 2 miles in a day. And I haven't been able to do that in a long time. So being kind, being compassionate, finding ways where I can really be supportive and not think about the struggle, but think about the very tiny steps that I need to take that are really just achievable goals and not boom, I have to do this suddenly. That I can give myself permission and be compassionate if I'm feeling overly sore. And frankly, I am. I'm moving muscles I haven't moved in a long time. And so they're sore and I can't move them too fast. I don't want to end up having an injury. That's key too. Don't want to fall. I don't want to progress so dramatically that I hurt myself. This is really the key. What are the smallest steps that I can take to move myself forward? And so ask yourself, what are the smallest steps that you can move yourself forward, no matter where you're headed as far as your health and well being? If you haven't exercised in a long time and you've been sedentary, what are some of the smallest steps? Can you do 5 minutes? And I really, today, I'm started a new morning routine, and I really was listening to Charles Durek, who is the king of habit making. And the key is, can you find a way so that you aren't overthinking anything? What's the ritual? What's the pattern? Now I'm making it so that when I get up, I get going, I take the dog out for a walk, I come back, I do some of my strength exercises, I follow up my ritual with some breakfast and coffee and meditation and journaling, and then I start my day. So, what do I have to do? I'm having to get up an hour and a half earlier if I'm going to start by taking a nice slow walk first thing in the morning, which is not so easy. It's easier to avoid it, frankly. But I realize now how truly beneficial it can be for me to get my body moving first thing in the morning. I just really am making it a habit by having a kind of a militaristic schedule. I wake up, I get dressed, I get the dog ready, out we go. And I think if I don't overthink it, I can achieve it. Now, is it always going to happen? I don't know. Tomorrow morning, I have a very early meeting. So that means I really have to get up and get out the door much earlier than I normally do. Normally, I can get out the door between 8 and 8:30, but tomorrow I've got an early morning meeting. So it means I have to move everything up earlier. So I really will work towards having a stable morning ritual that includes movement. And this way, I feel confident I will be able to make it a better habit. And what can you hang your hat on to make sure that there's something that you're, if there's something you always do, like for instance, they always say if there's something you do with brushing your teeth and say you want to start doing more flossing, floss, then do, floss a tooth or two and then brush your teeth. Or do whatever it is that if you have a habit already that you know you'll do no matter what, couple it with something that you're trying to incorporate into your life. Do something that, if there's something that you want to couple, if you're someone who's always a good cleaner, maybe what you do is you do some weight training right after you do that cleaning. 5 minutes, 5 minutes. Or you just make it a habit. You do the cleaning and then you take a 10-minute walk. Even 5 minutes. Anything, any movement in the direction that you want to go is key. And then what is your reward? That's where I'm challenged. So this past week, I decided my reward would be a facial. So Sunday, I took myself out for a nice facial that was on sale. Why not get a facial when it's on sale? So think of ways that you can couple changes that you want to adapt into a daily routine with things that you're already doing. And that can always make it so that you can keep that new thing as a habit going forward because you're doing it with something that you already incorporate easily into your life. I know this is working for me most of the time as I'm working towards having more movement in my day, first thing. Getting up and getting our body moving is essential. I'm really working hard now that I'm not in so much pain to make sure movement is king in my schedule. So, how can you make movement king in your schedule? Because movement is what helps us with everything, preventing problems with our health, keeping our brain functioning more efficiently. Movement. It is truly the first and foremost thing that is going to help us across the board with our health and well being as we get older. Remember, we have this one precious life. Let's live it intentionally, okay? So please think about subscribing. I really, truly would love to see you here and have a conversation about how you're taking charge of the things that you do daily so that you'll live a longer, healthier life into those older years. Be well, my friends. I'll see you next time. Bye bye. So, thank you so much for joining me at Healthy by George. I hope you found the information inspiring and that it encourages you on your wellness journey. Because remember, your body, your well being are a most precious gift, and every tiny action taken daily can make a huge difference. I hope the information here is educational purposes and is not meant to replace your medical care. See your doctor and talk about what works for you. If you enjoyed today's content, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Your support means the world to me, and it helps me continuing creating content that inspires and empowers you to live your best life. Goodbye for now, and join me again at the next Healthy by George.